Can you believe? It's been almost a year since Katt Williams went off on Steve during his epic appearance on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay podcast. Well, hold on to your wigs, because Steve is out here threatening to knock out Katt, and the internet is going wild.
Now I want y'all to have that same thing when y'all were talking. Don't get mad now.
But I still know how to turn my hip and shift that weight, and I'll knock your short ass out. I'll shoot your perm straight out your head.
Now, of course, Katt Williams himself has caught wind of Harvey's comments and took to Instagram in order to post a video and seemingly respond to what Harvey had to say.
Now, let's rewind a bit. Initially, Steve tried to take the high road, saying he wasn't even going to dignify Katt with a response. But clearly, Katt's comments struck a nerve because Steve is still all riled up and throwing around threats like confetti at a New Year's party. But here's the tea. Fans are not having it, and neither is Shannon Sharpe. He had to check Steve for trying to come for Katt. So, what exactly is Steve Harvey's problem? Is he spiraling? Because he knows that deep down Katt was telling the truth on Club Shay. Let's break it down.
Certain people, they're just polarizing. Yeah. There are going to be people, certain level, there are going to be a number of people that love them, and they're going to generate a certain level of hate. Yeah.
All right, besties, let's set the scene. Back in January, Katt Williams took to Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay podcast, and he went full beast mode on Steve Harvey. We're not talking about a little shade here. Katt unleashed a full-on storm. He labeled Steve Harvey a total fraud and hinted that he's nothing more than a puppet for the industry higher-ups. But here's the kicker. This wasn't just a one-time thing. Katt's been out here dropping subtle and not-so-subtle hints about Steve's shady dealings for years. While Steve's been out here smiling for the cameras, Katt's been busy telling everyone what's really going down behind the curtain. Remember years back when Katt did that freestyle dragging Steve, Diddy, and Jermaine Dupri?
What's happening, Puff? I'll be back to you if JD ain't had enough. Yeah. Jermaine Dupri, king of the pep, if you ask me, baby. And Steve Harvey, I heard about your book. I'm proud of your success, but look, better stop telling people that my lies before you be somewhere and meet one of my guys. You see, when I'm around, them is polite, gentlemen. Be alone, they be all hyped up on Ritalin. And if I ain't there to hold them back, them anxious to get it in.
Everyone was quick to label Katt crazy and accuse him of being on something, but clips like this one are the receipts that prove Katt's been trying to spill the tea on this shady industry for ages. Word on the street is that since that comedy face-off takedown, Steve Harvey has not been seen on a stand-up comedy stage since. Coincidence? I think not. Now fast forward to January 2024, and during that Club Shay interview, Katt went off. He was out there dropping all the receipts and dragging Steve's dirty laundry into the spotlight for everyone to see. He came for Steve hard, accusing him of faking his homeless story, ditching his first wife, and then swapping her out for Marjorie, which, according to Katt, is all part of the Illuminati deal.
These are a lot. This is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her, then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about?
But wait, it gets even juicier. Katt then spilled the tea on why Steve really bowed out of stand-up comedy. Turns out, it's a far cry from the story Steve fed us during his interview on Shannon Sharpe's podcast. Steve claimed he had to step away from comedy because he was overwhelmed with 7 TV shows. But then Katt came in and served up a whole different narrative.
Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore. Imagine him coming to tell you another story where he got so big and it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What?
According to Katt, the real reason behind Steve's stand-up exit had nothing to do with a busy schedule. Katt hinted that there was some seriously shady stuff going on behind the scenes that Steve clearly didn't want to get into, and then Katt turned up the heat even more by accusing Steve of being a joke stealer. He claimed that Steve has been out here stealing punchlines from other comedians from the get-go. And if that wasn't bad enough, Katt took it up a notch by alleging that Steve was so jealous of the great Bernie Mac that he went out of his way to try and sabotage Bernie's career.
Then you asked it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good over KB and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You would have to have a range. You called Ocean 11 to get that part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say.
Allegedly, Steve plotted to snatch jobs from Bernie, including his role in Ocean's 11, which Steve was desperate to get for himself. Talk about drama. So after Katt dropped all these bombshells on Club Shay, Steve's camp first claimed that Steve wouldn't even bother responding to Katt's allegations. They said Steve is all about spreading positive vibes and staying above the drama. But let's be real. Katt must have really hit a nerve because here we are nearly a year later, and Steve is still fuming and throwing threats Katt's way. Steve's initial reaction was to take the high road. Instead of addressing Katt directly, he took to social media to share a video of himself delivering one of his trademark motivational speeches on Family Feud. You know, the whole "you don't have to address your haters" spiel, but you know Katt definitely hit a nerve with Steve because after that explosive interview, Steve couldn't help but bring up the drama on his own turf. During a pre-recorded episode of the Steve Harvey radio show, Steve subtly hinted that Katt was a liar, but here's the tea. He still dodged addressing Katt's allegations head-on and didn't deny any of the claims Katt made on Club Shay. Steve said on his radio show, "Be careful when you hear something that's laid out to be the truth. And because the person that's telling you what they say is true is speaking eloquently, don't be deceived by that. There are some people who know how to lie so well, they know how to sprinkle in just enough truth and wrap it inside their lies where they got you thinking someone is telling the truth." But Steve just couldn't let it go. Fast forward 6 months, and he was still visibly riled up at his Golf Classic event in June. He let loose with some serious shade, saying that Katt ain't is, and even threatening to destroy him. But once again, Steve totally avoided directly addressing or denying any of the claims Katt made about him.
A young man without a role model is like an explorer without a map. How do you figure manhood out without talking to another man? And I want to say Katt Williams ain't shit. I wanted to say. I can't say it on the radio, so I don't use my platform to bring nobody down. But when I'm live, though, I'll destroy you.
But y'all, here we are, almost a year after that explosive sit-down between Katt Williams and Shannon Sharpe, and Steve Harvey is back at it again. He's throwing shade at Katt and even threatening to knock him out. Social media is buzzing with speculation that Steve might have taken yet another swipe at Katt during his recent appearance at InvestFest in Atlanta. There's a video making rounds that shows Steve on stage talking about how he deals with his critics. Now, Steve being Steve, he couldn't resist tossing in a little playful jab about his fighting skills. He was bragging that if it ever came down to a physical showdown, he still got some serious moves and could totally take down his haters, including a certain someone who is short and has a perm.
Ass hater who is, and you'll never have a hater that's doing better than you. Always know that. Don't get off the wall to dress some pity boy who ain't got going for himself. Now you done stopped your climb up on the wall so you can come down here and talk to his little punk. Don't do that, man. I stay away from it. Now, do I want to? Yes. Because I'm hood. Now, I used to be a fighter, and I still got hands. They slow, but if you get up on me real close, I can still knock you. I just don't have the quickness I have. But I still know how to turn my hip and shift that weight, and I'll knock your out. I'll shoot your perm straight out your head.
But you already know Katt wasn't going to take Steve's threat seriously. Shortly after that clip of Steve threatening to knock him out went viral, Katt took to Instagram to throw some serious shade. He posted a funny meme video with the caption, "Yes, Steve."
Now, of course, Katt Williams himself has caught wind of Harvey's comments and took to Instagram in order to post a video and seemingly respond to what Harvey had to say.
God damn, I look good. Eating you. I'm talking about eating you. God damn, I look good. Eating you. I'm talking about eating you.
The caption for the video read, "Yeah, Steve," followed by a few reaction emoji.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Katt isn't losing any sleep over Steve's tough talk about knocking him out. Meanwhile, fans are out here calling Steve out, pointing out that he's doing everything except actually denying all those allegations Katt made against him on Club Shay. One fan said, Steve won't address his wife and her kingpin days or apologize for trying to steal Bernie's role but talking about this 8 months later? Shaking my head. And another person wrote, a 70-year-old man talking about hitting someone is so sad. This was the best comeback Steve could give after 9 whole months? Katt's been living rent-free in his head for a long time. But it's not just fans who are coming for Steve Harvey. Sources close to Shannon Sharpe are getting in on the action too. Apparently, Shannon's been having a field day clowning Steve for even thinking he could knock out anyone, especially Katt Williams. And if you remember, a couple of months back, there were rumors floating around that Steve, Oprah, and Tyler Perry were allegedly plotting to sabotage Club Shay. So now, with Steve out here openly threatening Katt, it's just piling on the drama. But honestly, this whole situation is making Steve look even more guilty. Whatever his plan was, it's totally backfiring. The public is clearly rallying around Katt, and it's like Steve's trying to dig himself out of a hole he just keeps making deeper. So what's your take on Steve threatening to knock out Katt? How come Steve is doing all that talking, and yet he's still refusing to address Katt's accusations head-on? Is he scared of what might come out if he does? Or is this all just a big misunderstanding? Drop your thoughts in the comments, besties, because this tea is too hot not to discuss. And remember, in the wise words of Katt Williams, if you ain't lived it, you can't tell it. So who do you think is really telling the truth here? That's all for now, my loves. Stay fabulous, stay informed, and remember, the truth always comes out in the wash. Until next time, this is Hot Gossip signing off. Bye.